after 2 days only, Australia are 1-0 up in this Ashes series with a remarkable comeback on the second day. At lunch, England were 59 for 1. They led by 99, and he thought one good session of batting in the afternoon and England can take the game away from Australia. But Australia bounced back. England lost 9 wickets in the afternoon session. Still, Australia needed to score the highest score in the match to win, 205. They did it no trouble at all in 28.2 overs, thanks to a stunning 100 by Travis Head. He's done it before. He's done it in World Test Championship finals. He's done it in 50 over World Cup finals, and today he did it in the first Ashes Test. 123 of 83 balls. He reached his 169 balls, the joint 6th fastest in Test match history, and England were brushed aside in 5 hours of devastating cricket. First they collapsed, and then Australia romped to victory. Michael Vaughan is alongside me. Well, what do you make of that, Michael?
Well, I'm flat because it was only 5 hours, 20 minutes ago that England were in control of the Test match. 100 runs in front, 1 wicket down. The pitch was doing a little bit, and they played quite nicely. After lunch, Boland bowls a good ball to Ben Duckett, and from there on in, you know, I look back to 2023 and the first Test match at Edgbaston, the second innings when Nathan Lyon got 5 wickets. England played some atrocious shots, allowed Australia into the contest. Pat Cummins saw them home with that terrific chase, 1-0 down. So mistakes from England in 2023. You go back to the second Test match of that series, 185 for 1, Nathan Lyon off the field, the bouncer theory from Pat Cummins. All of a sudden, I think 24 overs later, England are bowled out. So mistakes from England, the 2-0 down. 2 years later, and let's go back to the Indian series in the summer when Jasprit Bumrah bowled. England played Jasprit Bumrah with a huge amount of respect. They played him, if I dare say, the attritional Test match way, where they left him. If he bowled a bad ball, of course they hit it, but they didn't risk too much against Jasprit Bumrah. What I've seen here, and I'm so disappointed, because from that position of dominance, yesterday 5 for 12 at the back end, I look back to that, they should have got 250 in the first innings at least, so there's the mistake. Today, to lose 9 wickets in that middle session and 3 for 0 with 3 big drives from 3 quality players in Ollie Pope, Harry Brook, Joe Root. The same mistakes 2 years later, and what you look for in a team is, are you improving? Are you learning? Are you getting better? Can you change the way that you play at certain times in the situations that the Test match dictates to you? Against quality bowling, this England side at the worst possible time, where they've had the best team for the conditions here in Perth, everyone fit. The paces yesterday afternoon were absolutely outstanding. The batters have made exactly the same mistakes that they made in 2023, and that's unexcusable, because, you know, when you come to this kind of place and you know it's going to be hostile, you know, there's been men in this isn't reacting to what's happened today, because at the end of day one we were saying this is great, England's bowling attack, but the batting in the first innings wasn't good enough, and the batters have made the same mistakes as they made 2 years ago. And I'm so disappointed, because I thought against India in the summer, I thought, well, I've seen enough to suggest that England are willing to go up and down in the gears, and when the field gets spread, particularly here, the acreage here in the outfields are so big, when the field gets spread, you've got to just knock it into the gaps for 1s and 2s. I've seen an England batting lineup that's been bowled out twice in 67 overs that have only looked to score boundaries. I haven't seen one player go, do you know, maybe a bit of Ollie Pope actually, bit of Ben Duckett at times today, but primarily all the batting lineup have gone out there and gone, do you know what, we're going to play baseball on these massive acreage fields against some decent ball. And it was, by the way, Cummins and Hazelwood haven't played this week. The conditions have been perfect for England. No Cummins Hazelwood, not boiling hot. They've got a 5-man attack that's outstanding for this pitch, and the batters have completely let the team down.
So, just to sort of narrow it down, the focus really, to be brutally honest, on that spell just after lunch, those 3 players playing the big drives.
Yeah, it's the big drives, but it's more the method. The method in the first innings for me was just when Bazball first started, it was a bit chaos. And many of us have been saying, we just want to see Bazball with brains. Well, the brains haven't arrived. You know, yesterday afternoon, it was probably the best Test cricket I've seen from an England side in terms of the ball in hand. But you go back to the batting, and we thought, oh, it's a decent score in the first innings because we bowled Australia out cheaply. But if you actually look back to the first innings batting, it was really poor. they were in a great position. 160 for 5. Harry Brook and Jamie Smith going well, and then all of a sudden, 15 minutes later, they're bowled out. It's just not good enough because they're all trying to whack it to the boundary. They haven't learned, and that's really frustrating for me, because I've seen enough with the England side in the last year that I thought, yeah, they're learning. They are learning. You go back to the Oval actually against India. 30 required in the last morning. All right, Chris Woakes has only got one arm, so 4 wickets left in the tank, and they played all the shots in the world, and they lost to India. They should have strolled that game by just playing with a bit of sense. And this way is incredibly enjoyable. It's incredibly exciting. I can't see how they win a big series batting in that fashion.
What did you think about the equation 205 to win? Did you think it was defendable?
Yep, I did, because today I saw enough movement, I saw enough swing. There's brilliance from start. Boland found his rhythm. Doggett produced a few tactics that were quite hard for England. Then there was that partnership, Atkinson and Carse of 50. I thought, that's taken to England over 200. That highest score in the match is going to be the 4th innings of the game. It very rarely happens in Test match cricket. So yeah, I thought England had a great chance, but you look at the bowlers and you think, well, they've only had 33 overs rested. It's not 33 overs because they were padding up after probably 15, 17 overs. So they're mentally not having that switch off from being out in the middle bowling. And when you've got an England side that's got Mark Wood's not played since February, Joffrey's only played 2 Test matches in 2 years, Stokes has had injuries, Carson and Gus Atkinson have never played in this environment, and they would have been emotionally drained from day one. To get them back out bowling after just 30 odd overs, it's just unacceptable, and it's silly for us to think that England can win playing that way down under. I have said England have got all the tools required to be successful in Australia, but you can't win if you don't use the tools correctly, and this week, particularly with the bat in hand, they've just not used their tools correctly.
We've seen it before from Travis Head, though, haven't we? I mean, that was stunning.
Brilliant, and a great move. I believe he went into the dressing room and said, I'll open. He's done it in Test match cricket. He obviously does it in white ball cricket. And that was a special Ashes innings. And we'll talk about that innings for a long period of time. But I don't actually blame the bowlers this afternoon, because I just look at the batting and think, you can't lose 9 wickets in a session. You can't lose 5 for 12 yesterday. You can't just try and crash the ball to the boundary against some quality bowlers when they're bowling just outside off stump on that length. We all know the big drive in Perth, with the full face of the blade just outside the off stump. It's such a risky shot because there's just an extra bit of bounce. I don't want to go back over the preparation, but people will start to look at the preparation for the batters. The bowlers, they look like they did a good job in terms of preparing them physically. They look ready. But you can't play on wickets that bounce a bit if you don't play on wickets that bounce a bit. And I'll go back to the preparation. I have no problem with playing one game. I have a problem with playing on a pitch at Lilac Hill where the ball bounces knee high. Surely they could have had the whacker. A year or so ago, could they have said to Cricket Australia, by the way, we're coming to Australia like India did. They had 8 days preparation at the whacker where the ball bounces, middle practice, net practice, and India won here last year. England, whether they like it or not, all these kind of conversations are going to come back to them because they haven't had that much preparation. They've been absolutely blown away in 5 hours of Test match cricket. From here on in, what do they do? Where do they go from here?
Well, that's what I want to ask you about next. You talk about preparation for this game, but what about the preparation for the next game? So now there's an extra 3 days, so it's something like 11 days, might even be 12, between this game and the Brisbane match. Now there's a 2-day game in Canberra, which is a day-night game, and our understanding at the moment is that none of the batters will be going to play in that game. I mean, it's essentially going to be a Lions game against a Cricket Australia 11. What do you make of that?
I would say, Simon, it's amateurish if they don't go and play. What harm is playing 2 days of cricket with a pink ball under lights?
Because they don't play much pink ball cricket.
What damage is it going to do you as a team and a player to play a pink ball game, to prepare yourself to play a pink ball game against Stark?
Are we talking about the batters here, not the bowlers, the batters?
No, the bowlers even. I mean, they've played 2 days of cricket. And the 2 days of test, they've been out in the field for what? 70 overs? Sure. Look, they're professional cricketers. I can't be so old school to suggest that by playing cricket you might get a little bit better. And, when you've been hammered like this, they'll probably go away and have a week doing what they do, which is, look, they can do whatever they wish. It's their time as management to decide how they want to prepare the team. My method would be, you've got a pink ball 2-day game, go and grab it, go and take it, play those 2 days and make sure that you're just giving yourself the best chance. It's not being old school to suggest that, a pink ball is different to a red ball. Playing under the lights is different. Australia have won pretty much every pink ball game in Australia. They've lost once. I'm not too old school to suggest that they should play in that game. I think they all should go and play the game. I think it's sensible to do that. It's not. And I'd like to know why they wouldn't. You know, they are professional cricketers, and I think they should go and prepare and play that pink ball game.
What do you think what's happened really this afternoon more than anything means for the rest of the series?
Well, we'll find out. This is the ultimate challenge. It's incredibly tough. Just a few hours ago, I was looking at this England side going, this is incredible. They've got it. They've got the tools. They've got the attack. I now sit here after just a few hours thinking, I've seen this movie before. Playing in Australia is not easy, and they're going to have to find an incredible amount of mentality, and they're going to have to find some form. I mean, Zach Crawley's got a pair. I mean, you've got to tell me that Zach Crawley will play a pink ball game when he's just got a pair. You know, he got a few runs at Lila Hill, which counts for nothing now. You know, he's bagged a pair in a test match in Perth. So I'll be very interested to see what goes, but it's a long way back when you go 1-0 down in Australia. Not many England teams have come back, if any. The two times that we've had success down here in our times have been 86, 87. They won the first test, 10 and 11. They drew that first test match. They've lost the first here, so it's an uphill struggle.
Michael, thanks very much indeed. We can join Jonathan, who's down on the outfield. Jonathan, well, give us your thoughts. What's your reaction to what you've seen over the last couple of days? I suppose more today, really. I mean, than yesterday, where England had a pretty good day ultimately. They were in control of the test match yesterday, but today, what about those last 4 or 5 hours of cricket?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, I'm waiting to interview Ben Stokes, which won't be pleasant, but I'm next in the queue. He'll be here any moment. I was thinking of how we all felt 24 hours ago compared to how we feel now, really. You know, we just want England to do well. And yesterday, the batting was poor, but my word, those bowlers bowled well. They ran in so hard, it was so controlled, it was aggressive. And I remember coming this morning and really thinking they'd struck some psychological blows there, not just physical blows on Steve Smith, who's standing just in front of me here, on his elbow, Labuschagne's elbow, fingers. They bowled absolutely brilliantly. Of course, they didn't have much time to turn round, and Travis Head has made a mockery of it. And I think what you have to accept is that a smallish target, if you're a player like Head, you can punch a hole in that, and that's exactly what he was to do. I think I'm next in the firing line here, so here we are, and Ben Stokes is coming towards me. We're just clipping a microphone on him. Well, Ben, I don't know if you tell me how you feel about that.
Yeah, she's probably shell-shocked a little bit, wide-eyed after that. I mean, that was pretty insane out there watching what unfolded, in particular after how, you know, the first day and even, you know, our third innings there with the bat, to watch a bloke come out and then smack a 70-ball 100 in a low-scoring game was, had to, you know, settle in with plans, and, you know, when he feels like he's knocking you off everything and you're looking up and the runs are coming down quickly. So, we went 3 or 4 different ways there, and it was some not to watch.
Yeah. At lunch, lead of 100, 9 wickets in hand. It was set up, wasn't it, to really put an imposing lead on the board? Yeah,
look, I think, you know, we were very confident in having a 200-run lead there for Australia to come out and try and chase. You know, the way in which the wicket was playing, it was tough. There was a lot in it for the bowlers. I guess looking back on it there, it's, you know, if you are the one who has that opportunity with being out there in the middle, I don't know, just making sure in mentality of, you know, you've never got enough. I think the guys who obviously had success on there with that wicket were the ones who were brave enough to be able to knock bowlers off what was the dangerous ball. And look, Harry, Travis there, even Marnus in that chase there, they were very critical and very clinical in making sure that we weren't able to run up and consistently bowl the balls that we wanted to put it, because they're putting under pressure all the time.
And having bowled so well yesterday, I mean, it was a brilliant bowling performance yesterday to get you back into the game, actually, with 170 on the board.
Yeah, it was. Look, and it shows, you know, we came out here full of confidence, knowing how well that we bowled in the first innings. And, you know, from the get-go, obviously Travis coming out there at the top of the order, there was obvious intent there from Australia to, from the get-go, not allow us to do that. And he's an amazing player to watch when he gets going. He's got incredible hand-eye coordination, and when he gets going like that, he's very hard to stop. It's not the first time he's done it. So I've got to give a lot of credit to the way in which he was just brave enough to do that. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. What about some of England's dismissals, Ben, the batting? Are you happy with the form that England's batsmen are in? Are you the way that a number of wickets fell looked soft?
Well, look at how the runs were scored on there, Aggers. The guys who had success were the ones who were really putting the bowlers under pressure and knocking them off their line of lengths. Two of the best batters in the three, the best batters in the world, Joe Root, Marnus, Steve Smith. In particular in that first innings, you know, if Steve Smith, Marnus, Labuschagne can't lay a bat on the ball, you know it's a pretty tricky wicket. So, yeah, tough one. But look, nice long break. We'll let this hurt because it does, and yeah, we got to get over this and you know, get back training hard as we always do, and then get ourselves to Brisbane and come away with the result we want there.
Yeah, and it is a long break, and you've got 3 extra days now of a break, and there's a 2-day game with a pink ball before the Brisbane match. I think people coming out, Ben, would expect England's players to play in that, especially the batsmen. But why not, I think they would say. Is there going to be a change of plan?
No, we've operated in this way where we know that the preparation that we put in is correct in the way in which works for us. You know, as I said before, I've been asked this question a lot. That's how it was done a long time ago. We prepare incredibly well. We work incredibly hard every single day that we get the opportunity to work on our game. And that's what we'll keep on doing, because we believe and we trust in our process. And if the results don't go the way in our favour, that's not going to differ from that, because hand on heart we know that we put every little bit of ounce of ourselves into our training, and we know and believe that this is the best way for this team to operate.
Well, I suppose the proof will be in the pudding, won't it, of the eating, but you know, why not play it? I mean, it's kind of they've laid on a pink ball game for you under lights to prepare for the next Test match.
Just answered that question, I guess.
All right, okay, Ben. Well, thanks so much indeed, and it's been an interesting game.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Right, there we go. And Simon, if you can hear me up there.
Yep.
That was
yeah, I can hear you, Jonathan. I don't know whether you want to
look at the end.
I don't know whether you want to comment on that, Jonathan, or not.
Well, I can only ask the questions, but he is very, very firm, wasn't he? I mean, I asked the questions and those were the answers, but Ben sometimes isn't an easy person to deal with, especially in defeat, as people who listen to this programme regularly will know. But I asked the questions. People, I think, will expect them to go out there and play this pink ball game that's been laid on specially for them. And I think what's important, I mean, I didn't ask him because he was in no mood to answer it, I don't think, anymore. But on the one hand, I don't think you can say that there's not been preparation before this first Test because it wouldn't have been good enough. That's why we went off to Lilac Hill and did our own game. And then to say, well, hang on a minute, there's a pink ball game that has been actually laid on specially for you in Canberra to play under lights before that pink ball Test match, and say no thanks, we're not going to play in it. So I don't think you can have it both ways, can you?
Well, no. I mean, I'm sure people have their opinions at home. What did you make of what he said there? I mean, it struck me that he was saying that actually Travis Head played as we wanted to play, really. Actually that was the approach on this pitch, and it worked for him, and it came off. And he's a fabulous player. Rather than actually the batting approach was a bit too aggressive. Actually, he was saying, no, Head showed us, or showed everyone, that's how you've got to play on this surface.
Yeah, and I think the answer to that is I don't think that Head played as loosely as England played. He's got a magnificent eye. He played some terrific shots, and in the last 60 runs of his were fed, basically cannon fodder, short balls, men out in the deep. He knew exactly what he was going to get, and so he just stood there and thrashed it. There was no sort of second guessing required. And I think the difference is that England, you watch Harry Brook charging down the wicket and you see some headless shots play, the chasing of the wide balls and so on. That to me is more form than anything else. That's when you a caught behind like Brooks. I'm not going to pick on Brook all the time, but that shot today for me was a poor shot. He's just come in, it was his third ball. There's really only likely to be one winner there, driving with the front foot way away from the ball, bat away from the body. I mean, it's just a classic loose wicket dismissal. And in a low-scoring game, you've got to knuckle down, you've got to fight, you've got to score the runs. And I don't mean batting necessarily like Australia did yesterday, where they got completely bogged down, but it's controlled aggression. And we've talked about this approach that England have, and it's very refreshing on one hand, but it can veer very easily into recklessness, and that I just think some of England's batting wasn't necessarily reckless, it was loose. In a low-scoring game, it was loose, and it looked like they weren't in form. And for Crawley, you have a pair. Root scored 8 runs in the game. You can go through the whole list of those who haven't scored runs. Well, what are they going to be doing for the next 11 days when they've got the offer of playing in a match that's been specially laid on for them? I say with the conditions that they're going to face in Brisbane. If I were a bowler, I think I wouldn't mind a one-day run out. If it's a 2-day game, but you bat one day, you bowl the next. That would be useful for all the bowlers who are going to play with a pink ball in Brisbane. I mean, I don't really see how you can argue against it, if I'm honest. I think I'm stating the obvious. I think anybody listening and reflecting on what's happened, and people who are flying out to Brisbane for that Test match, will expect England to be properly prepared for it. Now they might go out there and win. They pushed Australia here until the last 3 hours or so. It might come off. But if it doesn't, my word, they are leading themselves very, very open to a great deal of criticism, and that has always been the way leading into this series with the preparation. And as I said a few moments ago, on the one hand you can say, well, we weren't sure of the quality of the opposition that we'd been given before this first Test match. That's why we're controlling it ourselves, and that's why we're playing our own game. That was England's argument. That was their reason for playing that game at Lilac Hill amongst themselves. Well, you've got a game. You've got a pink ball game against Australians in Canberra before the next Test match. You're 1-0 down. Why on earth would you not play in that game? I think it's obvious.
Angus, when England have done well in Australia, they haven't lost the first Test match, or they've won it. They've lost here again, and we've seen what's happened on recent tours. I mean, give us sort of the context of losing here and what that means for the rest of the series, in your opinion.
Well, I think most people, with their predictions that we do, which are always difficult, as we know, we have a bit of fun with them, but I think most people who predicted an England victory, and this is certainly, in the series, this is certainly my case, I predicted an England win in the series if they won here. And so my predictions are now gone out of the window, I think, because I think it'll be extremely difficult for them to come back and to win here. And I think the whole thing, Simon, is you get one chance at this, really, for most players. Most players get one Ashes tour, some get two. But for Ben Stokes, I interviewed him before the game about defining his captaincy and what it would mean to him flying home having won the Ashes. You've just got to look at yourself at the end and say, have I given myself really, and have we as a team really absolutely given ourselves the best possible chance of winning this series? And if you say yes, we have, well, and you've lost, there's nothing you can do about that. But I think if they don't win this series, and if they lose in Brisbane, having turned down this opportunity of a practice match in Canberra, I think the knives are going to go flying. I really do, and people in senior positions at the ECB will come under a huge amount of pressure from people, all those who are coming out, and that's not a reason, incidentally, for being under pressure, that people are coming out to watch them, but people are saving, it's life savings to come out and come and support their team. And if, in the view of those people and cricket lovers in England, feel that actually they haven't given their best, they haven't given it their best shot, they haven't gone off to Canberra and played with a pink ball, it's a completely different game. I know from commentating, when you commentate on the first over of a pink ball match, you're searching for the ball, your eyes are kind of, well, where is it? It's a strange look check that often goes with sort of a streak. It's different, the lights are on, it's a completely different game. Why on earth not take the opportunity to practice it? And I think if they lose in Brisbane, there are going to be some very angry people around, and people at the ECB are going to have to get their tin hats on.
Jonathan, thank you. Glenn McGrath is with me. Well, we did our predictions. Glenn, you went for 5-0. It's 1-0 after one. But what first on the point Jonathan was making there about that practice match? Are we making too much of it in the modern era, or the fact that this game has finished 3 days early?
Yeah.
There is the opportunity for some of the batters, like Zach Crawley, for example, and Joe Root, very experienced player, but they haven't got runs here, and there is that opportunity. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's interesting that they've turned it down, haven't considered it. I'm not sure what else they have in mind. They have to have some cricket between now and then. To play a pink ball match under lights, I know Manuka Oval in Canberra is completely different to what they're going to get in Brisbane at the Gabba, but it's a good opportunity just to get used to it. And so, yeah, I'm not sure what they've got in replace of it, because they have to have some form of cricket. If it's just nets, sometimes I think that's not the best way to prepare, but to have a game. So, yeah, but it's interesting listening to Ben Stokes' comments there. They're very strong in the way they go, their process, and they think, and sometimes it feels like they just put up a barrier to everyone, not just the opposition, not the media, opposition media, but also their own media and players. So it's an interesting way, no negativity, no anything, but then they also, I think, get quite defensive quite quickly. So yeah, you've got to take every opportunity to improve yourself and prepare as well as you can. So maybe they'll miss an opportunity, but we'll wait and see. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Brisbane, a lot will depend on the toss. A lot will depend on when you're bowling with the new ball under lights, when you're batting against the new ball under lights. Those things make a massive difference in the game, even if you've prepared as well as you can.
Let's go back to this game. What did you think at lunchtime today? What was your hunch at lunchtime?
I thought I could see very similar to what happened last year against India here. Up until that stage, it was nearly a carbon copy of what happened last year. And from last year, India went on. Joswal, Virat Kohli got good hundreds, really set a big target in that fourth innings for Australia, and they weren't up for the task, and I thought that's the way it was going to go.
Therefore, what did you make of England's batting in that afternoon session?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. There's two things where I think they made a mistake. The first one is in Australia on these conditions, especially one of the fastest, bounciest pitches in the world, and we've always said you need to know which balls to leave. Early on, you've got to get used to the pace of the ball. Leaving the ball is nearly as good as playing a forward defence. And there was a lot of balls they got out on where they could have quite easily left. They weren't there to drive. They were driving on the up with the ball moving in the air and off the pitch with bounce. That's just asking for trouble. You're going to just nick. They're just a lot of touring teams come in Australia and they nick those, and they did all that today. So they need to leave the ball better in these conditions. And the second one, if they'd given themselves time just to get used to the pace, what they did in the first innings was they actually came at Boland a little bit more. They put him off his length and he didn't know what to do. Boland didn't bowl very well in that first innings because they upset his length. In the second innings there, they didn't really charge it. They played from the crease. And then they wanted to play every ball. And all of a sudden, he's in the zone. He's bowling where he wants to bowl. And the batsmen are playing shots that he wants them to. So all of a sudden, the bowler's controlling it. They're not upsetting his length. And he's in the zone. And those 3 wickets he got changed the game.
Yeah, in the end, he ended up with 4 for 33 after going 0 for 62 in the first innings. England, there was a revival towards the end of their innings at Carson and Atkinson, and then 3 players caught on the boundary. But I don't think you can blame the lower order. They're going to be aggressive, and actually that was serving them quite well in a way. Although they might have been able to eke out another 20 or 30 if they played in a slightly different way with the fields set back. So 205 to win the game. I want to ask you what you thought at lunchtime. 205 to win the game. Were you confident Australia had it, that there was a good chance for them, or did you see England as favourites then?
Well, it depends on how Australia came out and batted. If they batted like the first innings, then it's going to be hard work, and they're going to need a lot of overs to chase down these runs. So, but the big thing was 1 for 100 at lunch. If Australia are chasing 205, they would take that at lunch. Every single time. So as it worked out, England probably got a few more runs than what Australia thought they would have, or what they should have got. But the way Atkinson and Carr batted at the end there. But the other thing is, that's when England scored the runs, was when they put the field back and they bowled short, and then England did the exact same thing. So they didn't really learn by watching what happened there. And then you've got to give it to Australia. They were brave. They sent out Travis Head as opener to take them on. And it was such a contrast to Australia's first innings. And that's probably what you need. And that's why England do so well at chasing, because they back themselves, and all of a sudden you get on a roll, the pressure's back on the bowling side, and England was found wanting because of the plans that they adopted. It was, okay, the batsman is going to get himself out. That's the only way, by bowling short with a spread field, so many runs, and they didn't stop the scoring. There was, one maiden over in the whole innings. So if you can't stop the scoring, and you've got a small target to defend, things are going to go from bad to worse very quickly, and that's what happened today.
Yeah, absolutely. They certainly did. Travis Head with that magnificent innings at 69 ball 100. I mean, it was a strange one, really. I mean, suddenly the pitch looked flatter, the boundaries looked smaller, the outfield looked quicker. He is such a fabulous player, and it would be wrong. I mean, inevitably there's an inquest into what went wrong for England, but you sometimes you just got to say, and Ben Stokes did say it, to be fair. If someone comes out and plays like that, took it on as well, so right, I'm going to open, and we've seen him do it before. It was a fabulous innings.
Oh, without a doubt. And maybe that's it. We just saw an incredibly special innings by an Australian batsman, and that's what won the test for Australia rather than lost it for England. So, yeah, these things happen. But watching Travis Head, the way he went about it, was more controlled. He knew the areas he wanted to hit to, and he knew the shots that he didn't want to play, and he put the England bowlers off their lines and lengths. And occasionally sometimes when you're defending a fairly small target, you come out and you bowl to take wickets rather than bowl to the conditions to build pressure. And if you bowl to the conditions with your plans, that's how you take wickets rather than the other way around. And if you go chasing wickets, all of a sudden you're leaking runs everywhere, the pressure builds. And so I think it was a bit of everything, but you can't take anything away from the innings that Travis Head played. That was a match-winning innings. I thought he should have got player of the match. That changed this whole game from England being in control to Australia winning comfortably in the end.
We're going to hear from Travis Head now, who made that sensational 100 today. He's been speaking to Corbin Middlemass and the ABC radio team, who first asked him what his game plan was.
Yeah, no game plan. I was actually a proper opener for the first few overs.
You were? Was that to help Jakey a little bit as well?
I was never letting him face the first one.
Good boy.
Well done. I think that, I felt like there's been a moment where I could open the batting potentially at some stage. I thought we had a couple of options to go with, and luckily Ron gave in and let me do it. But I was pretty keen to go out there, and I felt like the way they played, the way they bowled to me as well, I knew the short pitch stuff was coming. Knew the short stuff was coming at some stage. I thought if I could get out there, get going, get to a start, I'd make it easier for the guys behind me, and it worked perfectly, didn't it?
We had your state coach Ryan Harris on Grandstand last weekend, and we spoke about you and your form leading in. And Ryan said, look, he's aware of the fact that he's only got this one score over 40 in his last 20 hits. What did you do in the lead-up to be ready to go to be able to produce that kind of knock, despite the fact that the runs weren't necessarily there in domestic cricket?
Nothing. A couple of T20. Look, there's a lot of T20 in that. So one Shield game down in Tassie. 51,000 is a lot different than 3 people and 2 degrees down in Blunston last week. I had 5 weeks off last year leading into the Test series when Harrison was born. So I was there's no doubt that I was clutching a little bit because you're playing, that you want to get scores, no doubt about that. But I knew in the back of my mind that I'd come off 5 weeks last year and started pretty well. So it's never really fazed me. I love this. Don't get me wrong, it's hard not to get up for this. I trained all 4 days leading into the Test, which I never do, just because I felt like Tassie was tough wicket. I've had a lot in the indoors at Blunston. Stubbo threw to me a fair bit. And then I knew coming here that I trained all 4 days. I just wanted to find that rhythm, and I felt I had it in the first innings. Shit, I was filthy that I hit it to the only bloke on the leg side in the first innings, but and then to get my opportunity to get it against a new ball, I knew that I could hopefully get off to a start and get them a rhythm, and I did that, so pleased.
Australia's been cycling through a few openers. You've opened before, obviously, in the subcontinent, first time in Australia, perhaps out of necessity with Usman's injury, but is this a sign of things to come? Do you want to be a test opener going forward?
Only opened 2 hours ago, so let's get through that.
Are you best when fresh? Is that what you feel like all the time? Because last year you said you had the 5 weeks off with the birth of your son. Then just go and play.
Well, there's a few times I've come in off break, so it gives you confidence, and then vice versa. I just knew I'm old enough now, I played enough cricket to know what my prep needs to be. I know when I need to get more. I try to stay on a level playing field. If I'm not getting runs in the middle, step it up at training and try and get a rhythm. If I'm scoring runs, like hopefully today more often than not, then training drops off a little bit. I try and keep a level thing so I can just keep mentally fresh. I think the hardest part about this game is the mental side.
The other side of it, the wicket, it didn't look as bad as the scores showed. I mean, at the end we won 2 down, 8 wickets in hand. But was it a pretty good wicket or difficult at times?
Difficult at times when they got it right. I felt it got quicker last night, and there were a few cracks, but they didn't really play much of a role. I'm almost looking down. It's more intimidating looking down at it. I feel like if it were tomorrow afternoon, I reckon it would have started playing some tricks and would have been difficult to bat, and that's why I guess a couple of sleepless nights. When you lose the toss and you look back last year, batting last on it in day 4, that was extremely tough last year. So I'm thankful that we'll be able to get the job done before it's got naughty.
Trav, were you a bit surprised that English went to the short ball tactics so quickly?
No, well, I was hoping not to go too hard. I'm going to hit that 6 over mid-off, and Stokesy cracked it and went, all right, that's it. Everyone's going back. I thought I might have got another 20 more runs before. I thought I might have got another 20 or 30 more out of them. Nick and nudge him around a little bit and keep the field up. And
did you give Benny Duncan any meows?
No. What am I? I think the count's still, we're counting him. I think we're 3-2 up. I think I'm 3-2 up.
Good
still.
boy.
I think he had 3 leaves. He left one today, and I think I've left 2 for the game. So I didn't think I'd be sitting here after the first test. One, obviously after the first day, we're 1-0 up, and I'm got 1 up on Duck at the minute. So he might not leave many in the first, but he kept me account today when I left one. So he's a good man.
Yeah, he's a good man. How does the team? I mean, what was the chat at lunchtime when they were 1 for 50, led by 100? And it looked like it was deliberately take it a bit wider to him, make him drive on the up.
I felt like we moved through plans pretty well. I thought, unfortunately, we let him get away a little bit with the short stuff, but that's always going to go one way or the other. First innings, we took 5 for 12 or something silly, and then today, I thought Gus played really well against it. So we're going to have moments throughout the series where they either fly or it doesn't. So, but yeah, we took it a little bit wider. There's no real chat. I think the team's pretty calm. Ronnie and Dan Vittori go about their stuff with the bowlers and Smudge, but I thought we moved in and out of plans really well. We kept it straight. We tried to suck the energy out of it and try to get the momentum back with certain fields, and thought through the first 2 days with how aggressive they can be. We manoeuvred through that really, really well. We did exceptionally well in the first innings when Brookie got going, and I think I probably had my head around 300 though at lunch break. I thought, if we can keeping them under 300, I thought that was chaseable. Anything over 300 was going to be tough work, so we bowled beautifully.
When did you know you were going to open?
When I ran down the race, and we sort of all got in a groove and went, what the hell is going on? So we were sort of sending messages back. Matt Kelly's had the biggest day ever as 12th man. He's come over, thought he's going to get the easiest day, and he's charged. It was just going off, and boys are going off everywhere. And we're trying to get info back to go who's opening the batting, and then lucky the tea break come at a perfect time. So Beans were probably going a little bit when I ran off, knowing that I wanted it, but the tea break come at a good time. I actually looked at the screen, and the boys were already out in the middle, and I was still sitting there looking at the clock. So I had to rush out here, and Weathers was standing waiting for me. So I was best with fresh there.
How were the 2 debutants, mate? Obviously teammates.
Yeah, I thought they did an exceptional job. I thought Doggy batted away and was able to get that huge breakthrough of Brookie in the first innings. He bowled aggressive. I thought when he pitched it up, he looked dangerous, and I thought Weathers played beautifully today. Look, he would have liked to go on with it, but the way he played fast bowling, the way he was able to put pressure on, the way he was able to leave the ball, I think that's the blueprint for Jake. And if he's going to do that, this job for a long period of time, I think that's the blueprint. He face an attack like that and get through it and get to, I think, 30, 25 or 30. It's a good starting point for him.
Well played, mate. We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
Everyone in Australia is.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, he did play well. An exuberant Travis Head in his post-match reaction to ABC Radio. Andy Zaltzman with me. Well, inevitably in a game like that, it's finished so quickly. Lots to talk about statistically. What are the main headlines, Zaltz?
Well, there's quite a lot of main headlines after what I think is objectively one of the most disastrous days on the field for English Test cricket in recent decades, to be honest, after all the expectations. It's the 3rd shortest completed Ashes Test so excluding games that were abbreviated and ended in a draw due to rain, that's ever been played. The 9th shortest test played anywhere, just 847 balls in the match. The 2nd shortest completed test in Australia. A rare occurrence in the 4th innings being the highest to win a test. It's happened fewer than 30 times in test history. This is only the 2nd Ashes test to be won, in which the 4th innings chase was the highest of the 4 innings of the match. The other was the 2019 Headingley test when Ben Stokes scored that phenomenal 135. It's the first 2-day test in the Ashes since 1921. Australia's innings, 7.23 per over. The previous Ashes record run rate in any innings of 20 overs or more was England at Old Trafford in 2023, when their 592 came at 5.49 per over, and this was after Australia got under 3 and over in the first innings. They hit just 9 fours in 45 overs in their first innings, and Travis Head, in his innings, 4 sixes and 16 fours in just 83 balls, 120 off the last 69 deliveries. His last 39 balls, he had a 6 and 12 fours, making 72 runs. The joint 6th fastest test century of all time, the joint 3rd fastest for Australia, the joint fastest ever by an opener alongside a David Warner 69 ball 100, and the 2nd fastest Ashes 100 behind Adam Gilchrist's 100 just across the road from here in the WACA in the 2002-3 series. And another rare thing, a winning 4th inning century in Ashes cricket. There's only been 4 in the last 60 years, only 12 in Ashes history, and this is only the 3rd. Head is only the 3rd player to score a 4th inning century in victory in an Ashes test in Australia since 1928, and he's the first ever to do it in the first test of an Ashes series. Mitchell Starc, 10 wickets in the test. His first innings analysis, 7 for 58, was the 2nd best in the opening innings of an Ashes series. 10 fors in the first tests of Ashes series, only the 5th since the Second World War. Alec Bedser in 1953, Terry Alderman for Australia in 89, Shane Warne here in Australia in 94-5, and Jimmy Anderson in the Trent Bridge Test of 2013, the others. And his analysis against Joe Root, Ben Stokes and Zach Crawley combined, 6 wickets for 5 runs in 32 balls. He dismissed Root twice without Root scoring a run, and the 2nd bowler to do that in Root's test career. It's the first time in Root's 35 test Ashes career. He's been out in single figures in both innings. Zach Crawley's pair was only the 3rd by an opener in the first test of an Ashes series. The others were a long time ago, and only the 4th Ashes pair by an England opener ever. England's bowlers took some horrific tap today after being so brilliant in the first innings. Gus Atkinson and Jofra Archer both had their most expensive overs in their test careers. Ben Stokes, 17 runs off his 2nd over. That was the joint most expensive in his career. So that's, I think, just some of the stats from this game. England's 67.3 overs is the 3rd fewest they have faced in any test match, and the only 2 tests in which they were bowled out in both innings in fewer balls than the 405 they managed in this test were in 1888 and in 1904, and only the 8th team ever in test to be bowled out in under 35 overs in both innings, and only the 2nd to do so since 1932. So we've had a lot of stats in this game which are sort of harking back to the early days of cricket when a lot of matches were played on treacherous pitches. This is more, I guess, a sign of how England plays. In the 2023 Ashes, there wasn't a single team score below 220, and we had the first 3 innings of this series all under 175, in fact. So we're seeing different cricket. We've seen through the Bazball era, pitches where the ball does quite a bit have often scuppered England's batting. They've generally been much more productive as a team on flatter pitches. We've saw in the last Ashes the ball did quite a lot. This pitch obviously gave quite a bit to the bowlers, and it's something that England will have to address if they want to have any chance of turning this around.